The Beast, and this is McD Sports 4 coming to you today with my Week 13 picks rivalry week here in college football here for 2022. Before I continue, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate you do that. A lot of games to pick this week. How many games do we have this week? We have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 games this week. So let's get into it. We'll kick it off and this isn't an order of how the games are going to go. I go with the straight up category, locks of the week, and then upsets of the week. We pick against the spread, and I give you a winner with a score of each game. We'll kick off with number 23, Tulane versus Cincinnati. And by the way, these rankings are not the college football playoff rankings. These are my rankings because my rankings are the only rankings that matter here on McD Sports 4. So number 23, Tulane versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a 1-point favorite in this one. I like Cincinnati to win and cover here. Tulane against teams that are a little bit more talented than them. His team to not play as well, fair as well. I look at the UCF game. So I think Cincinnati to go ahead and get the win here. I like Cincinnati to win this game 30-23 at home, and this is a Friday game. So Cincinnati wins and covers the 1-point spread. NC State versus number 20 North Carolina. This game lost a lot of juice over the past few weeks. This looked primed to be a top 25 matchup here in the state of North Carolina. But now it's NC State versus number 20 North Carolina. North Carolina still a 6.5-point favorite at home. They're basically going to the ACC championship game. I think they win and cover here. Will not surprise me if NC State actually wins this game outright. But I just think North Carolina is overall the better team right now. I like North Carolina to win this game. I like it 31-20 North Carolina. Now the big game of the week. Number 2 Michigan versus number 3 Ohio State. Ohio State is a 7.5-point favorite at home. I like Ohio State not to cover the spread here, but I do think at the end I went back and forth with it. I was going to come on here and pick Michigan. The Blake Corum injury kind of scares me off a little bit, so I'm going to take Ohio State, but I am going to take Michigan plus 7.5. I like Ohio State to win this game. I know some people are saying it's going to be low scoring. Listen, when I pick games that I believe are going to be low scoring, they tend to be high scoring. So I'm actually going to go Ohio State in this one, 31-27 here. Ohio State. But personally, I don't think it's going to get that high scoring, but watch it get that high scoring. It might be a first to 30 win type game, but I like Ohio State here by 4, giving Michigan to cover the 7.5-point spread. Next game, number 19, Coastal Carolina versus James Madison. James Madison is a 14.5-point favorite in this game. I had to check to make sure there was no major injuries for Coastal Carolina or anything. I know the quarterback's been out for Coastal Carolina, but he's been out for, I think, 3 weeks now. Absolutely taking number 19, Coastal Carolina, plus 14.5 here. Absolutely. I actually do think JMU will win at the end. I think this is going to be a hell of a game. 34-31 is the score I have. But I did a video on this Monday. Sports gambling became legal in Maryland. I am going to make sure I get some money on Coastal Carolina plus 14.5 in this one, because I think it's pretty much a guarantee, in my opinion, that they're going to cover that 14.5-point spread. So definitely want to get something on that before it gets a little bit too low. Some money starts pouring in on that. But Coastal Carolina plus 14.5, but JMU wins 34-31. Apple Cup here, number 10, Washington versus Washington State. Washington State, actually, I meant to, never mind. This was actually one of the locks of the week, so I'll get to that game here in a second. Here, I meant to X that out. So we actually are only picking 17 games, my fault. Next, I don't know what they call the Kentucky rivalry, the Louisville-Kentucky rivalry. Number 25, Louisville versus Kentucky. Kentucky's a 2.5-point favorite. I like Kentucky to win and cover here. I think they bounce back after a very disappointing season, if you ask the Kentucky fans. Louisville is the 25th ranked team. If you look at every poll, they're actually 25th. I think they're 25th in the college football poll. They're 25th in my poll as well. But I think Kentucky here at home, they get the win. They get a big win at the end of the season to boost their confidence there. I like Kentucky to win this game. I got the score 27-20 Kentucky. Iron Bowl next. Auburn versus number 11 Alabama. Alabama is a 22.5-point favorite at home. I think on principle I am going to take Auburn in this one. Alabama has struggled throughout the season against really all the Power Five teams. I mean, even Mississippi State, the only game I can think of that wasn't really a game, they struggled some throughout that game. I like Auburn plus 22.5 in this one, but I think Alabama does win this game kind of easily. I like Alabama to win this game. I got the score 33-17 Alabama, a nice 16-point win for them. Next game here, Minnesota versus Wisconsin, the battle of the axe. Here, Wisconsin is a 3.5 point favorite at home. I like Wisconsin to win this game, but I don't like them to cover. I'm actually going to take Minnesota plus 3.5. I only have it as a field goal game, but I think Wisconsin at home, and I think they find a way to win this game. Low scoring game, 16-13 Wisconsin is the score I have. Next game, the Civil War, number 8 Oregon versus number 17 Oregon State. Oregon State is a 3.5 point dog in this one. I like Oregon win and cover here. I just don't think Oregon State has the talent on the perimeter. And I said this about the Southern Cal game, and I was kind of wrong about that, but that was also Southern Cal's worst game of the season. I think Oregon takes care of business here. I actually don't think this game is that close. If you ask my opinion, if you want my honest opinion, I like Oregon to win this game. I got the score 38-17 Oregon. This game is going to remind you a lot of the Utah Oregon State game where Utah just dominated Oregon State everywhere. And then the last game in the straight up category, Kansas versus number 13 Kansas State. Uh, Kansas State is a 11.5 point favorite at home. I think they win this game. I'm actually going to take Kansas plus 11.5. I think Kansas might get a backdoor cover here. This is going to be a competitive game. I like Kansas State, and a bit of a shootout here. 38-30 is the score I have, an 8 point game, but go ahead, give me Kansas plus 11.5. Now the locks of the week. 4 locks of the week. We'll kick it off with the Egg Bowl here. Mississippi State versus number 22 Ole Miss. A lot of rumors are circulating about Lane Kiffin taking the Auburn job. I honestly don't see that happen because I don't know why you would take the Auburn job if you're at Ole Miss. I hate to say this if you're an Auburn fan watching this. I know I just gave your team a little bit of praise saying you'll cover the spread. I don't view the Auburn job much better than the Ole Miss job right now. Right now. Maybe at one point it was, but I just don't view it as that. I think Lane Kiffin's actually just better staying at Ole Miss. I mean, the expectations are more reasonable there. And if I'm him, I would stay at Ole Miss. I mean, Oxford, Mississippi, Auburn, Alabama, kind of the same town. I mean, if you told me maybe if the Miami job was open or if the Southern Cal job was open, if he was going there, okay. But I don't see him leaving Ole Miss for Auburn. To me, I wouldn't. I personally, I would not do that. Ole Miss is a 2 point favorite at home. I think they win this game and cover. And I actually think they kind of maybe make a statement in this one. They're kind of reeling right now, Ole Miss. I like Ole Miss to win this game. Bit of a shootout, 34-24 is the final score though. 10 point win for Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss gets a big win here. Next lock of the week, Florida versus number 15 Florida State. Listen, this spread could have been 19.5. The spread is not the spread is Florida State's favored by 9.5. This spread could have been 19.5. I'm taking Florida State in this one. I like Florida State to win this game in blowout fashion. I think the Noles go ahead get a big win here in this rivalry. I'll go ahead and to me one of the most underrated rivalries. I know it hasn't really been a big rivalry the past few years. I wish it comes back to that, but Florida is really not a good team in my opinion. Florida State, I am going to be high on Florida State in 2023. They are really hanging in the right direction under Mike Norvell. I like Florida State to win this game in blowout fashion. And as I said, I got the score 52-23 Florida State. I think this game is a blowout. I think it's over by halftime, giving me the Noles over the Gators. Next game, number 6 LSU versus Texas A&M. I do not get why Texas A&M is only a 9.5 point dog in this one at home. I think LSU goes into this game and at least beats A&M by 2 touchdowns. I like LSU. I like number 6 LSU go on the road in this one. Maybe because it's on the road. But I mean, that game last week for A&M against UMass last week, the stadium was 3-4 empty. But I like LSU in this one, as I said. Maybe a little more of a low scoring game, but I'll take LSU in this game. I got a 30-14 LSU in this one. Maybe A&M scores a late touchdown. And then, as I said earlier, number 10 Washington versus Washington State in the Apple Cup. I like number 10 Washington on the road in this one. They're 1.5 point favorites in this one. I think they win and cover. I mean, to me, you got to kind of take Washington by principle. Outside of last year when Washington was horrible, um, Washington basically has had their way with Wazoo. So I'll go. I know it's in Pullman, but I think Washington wins this game. I got the score in this one. I think it's going to be 27-20 Washington, a 7 point win for Washington. Now the upsets of the week. Rule for the upsets is that you gotta be at least a 3 point dog. I'll get the I'll go ahead and tell you right now the lowest upset I have here is 3.5 points, and that's Wake Forest and Duke. I'm going to take Duke to win this game outright. They're 3.5 point dogs at home. Why not? I mean, I need a fourth upset. Saw this game. I think Duke's very capable of winning this game. Wake Forest is a one-dimensional team. Micah Elko knows what he's doing. I'll go ahead and take Duke in this one to win this game. Bit of a shootout, but we'll go ahead and take Duke in this one, 31-28 to pull off the upset. Where should I go next? We'll go South Carolina versus number 12 Clemson. Maybe I'm prisoner of the moment. I think South Carolina goes on the road and beats Clemson. As I said, I have not been sold on Clemson all year. The 14.5 point favorites. I at least like South Carolina to at least cover that. The only reason South Carolina doesn't cover that is because it's a psychological thing, in my opinion. But go ahead, give me South Carolina to win the game outright. It's 14.5 point dogs on the road. 27-24 Gamecocks in this one over Clemson. So go ahead, write that down as an upset. We'll go with this one next because I'll save the big game here for last in the upset category. I like Vanderbilt to pull off the upset against Tennessee. 13.5 point dogs at home. Number 9 Tennessee versus Vanderbilt. I like Vanderbilt to pull off the upset in this one. Hendon Hooker out for the year. Joe Millen. That I think the over under for how many interceptions that Joe Millen is going to throw should be at 2.5. And I would take the over on that. Vanderbilt has been a team that's been improving every week. Clark Lee is actually doing a really good job there. And even if they lose this game to Tennessee, this year was a good year for Vanderbilt. They're showing improvement. They got 2 wins in the SEC. I actually think they get 3 wins in the SEC, and they pull off the upset here. They're going to have to, I think, score a little bit in this one. Even though without Hendon Hooker, I still think because I still think Joe Millen is actually a decent quarterback for the offense that they run here at Tennessee. I like Vanderbilt to win this game. We're going to go 35-33 Vanderbilt, a 2 point win for them. A bit of a weird game, but I like Vanderbilt to win the game outright in this one as 13.5 point dogs. And then the second biggest game of the week, number 18 Notre Dame versus number 5 USC. I like Notre Dame to pull off the upset here. They're 5.5 point dogs on the road here. You look at Notre Dame, they're just a more physical team. They just are. I said this with Utah when it came to Southern Cal. Oregon State, I thought, proved this to a fault. I think physical teams tend to have success against Southern Cal. Now, granted, Notre Dame's going to have to score some against Southern Cal, in my opinion, to win this game. I think they're going to have to get at least 27. I'm going to say they do that against this bad Southern Cal defense. I like Notre Dame to win this game 34-28 and pull off the upset on the road here as 5.5 point dogs and ruin USC's playoff chances. So that's those are my picks for Rivalry Week. Comment down below. Tell me your picks. I always like hearing from you all. We'll have a video out for championship picks. I'll pick every championship game in all 10 conferences. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching the video. McD the Beast signing off.